across this kind of question in JAMB, will you be able to answer it? Now, this question is a physics question under optics. I have like 10 questions for us to go through in this short video. Follow me and prepare yourself to get a better score in JAMB this year. So first question says, a virtual image is formed by a convex lens when the object is placed where? Now, there are various positions where you can place an object as it relates to convex lens. Now, convex lens converge the light rays. That's number one thing you should know. So we have that the image is virtual image. You can put an object between the lens and the focal point. You can put the object at the focal point. You can put the object beyond the focal point and at infinity in these four different areas. So I have dropped something at the last. If you watch this video till the end, you would see more about this, because this is a concept that you must understand, because questions will definitely come. All right, so this is the question. A virtual image is formed by a convex lens when the object is placed where? One thing I want you to know from this question is that you should know when an object is placed at a particular point, a virtual image is always formed. It is a rule. So what's the answer? The answer is that a convex lens forms a virtual image when the object is placed between the lens and the focal point. This is a rule. Anytime you place an object between the lens and the focal point, as far as you are dealing with a convex lens, a virtual image is formed. Let's go to question 2. Question 2 says, a parallel plate capacitor has a capacitance of 10 microfarads. If the distance between the plates is halved, what happened to the capacitance? So this is talking about capacitor and capacitance. And we are talking about a parallel plate capacitor. So if you now reduce the distance between two capacitors, between two plates, what happens to the capacitance? This is also a rule that you should know. Most times physics questions are just rules, they are laws, that's how they will be asking you, and they are very simple. Now, mind you, this is the last year question. So as you get along, you are getting yourself familiar with how JAMB asks questions. In case you have not written JAMB before, don't just close this video. You need to know how JAMB form their physics questions. So A, we have it will double, B, it will remain the same, C, it will be halved, and D, it will be quadruple. So what's the correct answer? The correct answer is anytime you have the distance between plates, capacitance doubles. Anytime. So that's the rule. If you have the distance, capacitance doubles. If you double the distance, capacitance will reduce by half. So is an inverse relationship. It's an inverse proportion relationship. So if you have the distance, capacitance increases. If you increase the distance, capacitance reduces. Please never forget this. Very important. Moving to the next question. It says the graphical representation of pressure law is always a straight line passing through the origin only if the temperature scale is... Now let me give you a quick hint, a quick hack. In physics, usually calculations that relate to temperature are usually done in Kelvin and not in degrees Celsius, unlike in chemistry. Even in chemistry, some situations you deal with Kelvin and so on. But in physics, most times you deal with Kelvin, not degrees Celsius or Fahrenheit, or you do conversions actually under thermometric substance and thermometers. So, but in this case, what's the correct answer? The correct answer is when temperature is in Kelvin, the graph is always linear. When temperature is in Kelvin, the graph is always linear. Going to question 4, the density of water is 1 gram per cm cube, while the density of ice is 0.9 grams per cm cube. Calculate the change in volume when 90 grams of ice is completely melted. One thing is very important. Always understand what the question is asking you before jumping into it. It helps you and makes it easier for you to answer. 1, observe that the density of water and ice are not the same. Now they are saying calculate the change in volume. if 90 grams is melted, they have given you the density of water and they have given you the density of ice. Now they say if 90 grams of ice is melted, calculate the change in volume. So we are going to use this formula here. Okay, so something is missing here, I think. Okay. So, but we know that volume is equal to mass over density. So don't forget that. Volume is equal to mass over density. And you can also manipulate the formula by making it the solution formula in the case where you want to find the density. But this time around, we are looking for volume. So volume is mass over density. So we start with ice. What's the volume of ice? The volume of ice is 90 all over 0.9 because the density of ice is 0.9. So 90 grams of ice divided by its density, that's mass over volume, we have 100 centimeter cube. Now when we come to water, 90 grams of water divided by its density, that's 90 centimeter cube. So look at the difference now. The volume of water and the volume of uh, ice. So you subtract to find the difference. So you have 100 minus 90, which is equal to 10 centimeter cube. I don't know if this is very clear, but what we are trying to do, look at the density of water has been given to you per gram in centimeter cube, and then the density of ice has been given. So you're asked to calculate the change in volume when 90 grams of ice is completely melted to water. So you have to calculate the volume of ice and you have to calculate the volume of water. When 90 grams, you know that 90 grams of the ice is the one that will still give exactly 90 grams of water because there will be no change. But this time around, you are going to use the density differs between ice and water. That's what gives the difference in the final volume. I hope this is clear. So the change in volume is what you are asked to calculate here. We go to question 5 that says a man moves 6 meters east and then 10 meters in the direction 30 degrees northeast. How far is he from the starting point? So this question has to do with vectors, and this time around we are going to use a rule. If this kind of movement is at right angle triangle, for example, maybe he moves, like they say, he moves 6 meters east, that's 90 degrees. So you can now see that there is a change. We have 30 degrees northeast in that direction. So that makes it not to be a right angle again. So if it is right angle triangle, you calculate the resultant distance using Pythagoras theorem. But in this case, you are going to apply cosine rule. So the resultant vector, which is C2, will be equal to the square distance of A plus the square distance of B minus 2AB cos C. So we already have the degrees, we already have all the parameters. All we need to do is just to substitute. So distance will be equal to 6 square, because they say he moves 6 meters, plus 10 square minus 2. So everything that is happening here is just substitution, addition, and subtraction. And finally, we find the square root of 196 to get our 14 meters. So the correct answer is D, which is 14 meters. Question 6 says a boy uses a single pulley system to lift a mass of 29 kilograms moving at a constant velocity of 5 meters per second. What is the power developed by the boy? So this question is very simple. They are asking you about power. And power, if you remember, is force times velocity. So you are not given force here directly, but you are given velocity and you are given mass. Remember, you can calculate force. Since we have mass is given to us, so we can calculate force. So we also have acceleration due to gravity, if you remember. So you can use, you can calculate your force and then multiply to get your power. So weight, which is equal to force now, because acceleration due to gravity is given to us. So remember, weight is also a force. I hope you get this. So if you are seeing me using force as weight, is the same thing, please, because weight is a force acting on an object. So this time around now, to find our force, we are going to say mass times acceleration, which I said earlier. Always finding force. Force is always mass times acceleration. F is equal to ma, or W is equal to mg. Why? Because acceleration is the same thing as that gram. That g rather, means acceleration due to gravity. M remain mass, weight is force. So please don't be confused. So using this formula, we have 290 Newton as the force that the boy is applying. You see how they ask their physics questions, right? So if we now get our force, we can now easily calculate the power that the boy has generated by saying power is equal to force times velocity. I hope this explanation is very clear. Let me take you back to the question again. You must get this, because these kind of questions are a little bit tricky, but they are very, very simple to answer. Now look at the question. A boy uses a single pulley system to lift. Forget about all the pulley system. Now, what did he pull? That's the mass, which is 29 kg. Velocity is given. What is the power developed if acceleration due to gravity is 10 meters per second? Now remember, don't forget this formula. I'm going to make a video where I will list out key important physics formulas you need to master to pass your JAMB very, very well. Hopefully tomorrow, so look for it. As soon as I post it, watch it. Very, very important. So you need to know the formula for power. Formula for power is force times velocity. Force times velocity. Now observe that velocity is given to us, but force has not been given to us. So it means you have to calculate force by yourself. What's the formula for force? Formula for force is mass times acceleration due to gravity, or acceleration if it's a linear motion. So this time around, because he's lifting it up against the force of gravity, that is why we are using G. So G instead of A, because it's not a linear motion on the ground. No. So what we need to do first is to calculate our force, because acceleration is given to us. Two things we need to calculate this power generated is force and velocity. Velocity is there intact. Force is not given, but we have parameters to calculate it, which is mass and acceleration due to gravity. And that's exactly what we did there to get it. I hope this is clear now. So our answer is D. D is the correct answer, 1450 watts. Question 7 says, which of the following is not true about a wave in a plucked string? A, it has a crest. B, it is transverse. C, it is longitudinal. D, it is mechanical. So which one is not true? We are talking about which one is not true. So look at the question again. Plucked string. String, that's on a musical instrument. So does it have a crest? Is it transverse? Is it longitudinal? Is it mechanical? First of all, it has a crest, of course. It's just like water wave. When you strike a string on a bass guitar, it produces a vibration. So that vibration moves along the string, and it is more like a water wave. Water wave. Let me use that word. So it has a crest. Is it transverse? Yes, it is transverse. What is a transverse wave? A transverse wave is a wave whereby the wave particle and the medium, or the channel that is carrying the wave, are moving perpendicular to each other. For example, if water is stable, it's not moving. By the time you generate a ripple, you generate a wave. What happens? The wave will be moving up and down. Meanwhile, the water is like this. So it's perpendicular. As the wave is moving up and down, but the level of water is perpendicular. So as the wave is up, down, water is perpendicular. So that's a transverse wave. Longitudinal wave, on the other hand, is a situation whereby the wave particle and the medium that is carrying the wave are moving in the same direction. A good example is sound wave. When you produce sound, the air carries the sound along to the direction of air. That's why if you are in the opposite direction of air, even if someone shouted, you could barely hear him. But those that are directly opposite or directly where the air is moving, where the wind is moving, they hear it louder. So that's why sometimes, even if it is a distant place, if a noise is made, you hear it because the air is carrying it. So this time around, the wave particle and the medium for the transfer of the wave are moving in the same direction. So plucking a string does not move in the same direction. So you should know that transverse wave are not the same thing with longitudinal wave. So the correct answer is C, because they say which is not true. So it is not true with plucked string. It's not longitudinal. I hope this is clear. So these are just images for the illustration. Yes, one thing you should have in mind is that transverse means across a motion. Longitudinal means along, across and along. They are not the same thing. So once you can remember this, it's a simple trick for you to remember. So we go to question 8 that says the speed of a sound in a solid at 0 degrees Celsius is 1000 meters per second. What is the speed at 25 degrees Celsius? We are still under waves. I hope you are already observing with me that JAMB like asking questions under waves. I saw many questions under wave in this last 2025 JAMB questions. So and this is what I always tell my students, those I'm coaching, that if you are smart, you will know areas to focus your concentration on. The same thing I observed with organic chemistry. You can see JAMB asking like 14, 15 questions under organic chemistry. But other topics, they'll just ask 1, 2, 3, highest 4. So if you are smart, you should know that, hey, this area, I should spend more time studying it. By the way, if you are not my student, I have a group of students I'm coaching, and if you want to be part of us, no problem. Last year I did it. A lot of students got 250 and above, and I'm happy that this year I'm scaling it. So if you want to join us, just drop in the comment section. I will drop a link, a WhatsApp link for you to join. Thank you, and let's continue. So we have a sound wave question here, and so let's see how we can answer it. So the speed of sound varies with temperature, the square root of temperature. So is a proportional relationship. So if you now want to find, the speed of the sound in the first object at a particular temperature and the speed of sound at the second temperature. So it's just like the gas laws. P1 V1 equal to P2 V2. So at different conditions, at different pressure condition, at different volume condition, the same thing applies here. So now we have already know the first one. The first object, when temperature is 0 degree, we know the speed is 1000 meters per second. Now the second question is, what if the temperature is now 25 degrees? Do you see how simple this is to calculate? So we already have our formula, which I would advise you to try and memorize. So seeing this formula now, you can already see how I substituted. Now temperature, we change it to Kelvin. Remember I told you in physics, what we use most is Kelvin. So you can see that the first temp at 0 degrees Celsius, which is 273 degree Kelvin now. That's the 273 you are seeing. 25 degrees is 298 Kelvin. Remember, it's just addition. From 0 degree you add. I hope you know how to change it from degrees Celsius to Kelvin. So by the time you calculate all this, you are going to get 1045 meters per second. And what do you observe? There is a huge difference. At 0 degrees, they said is 1000 meters per second. Now at 25 degrees, what is our answer? 1045 meters per second. Do you observe the difference? The difference is that the more temperature increases, the faster the speed of sound in solid objects. So I hope you are seeing something. Assuming my answer now is less than 1000, I know there is problem already, because it cannot be possible. It's a law that the more temperature increases, the faster the sound travels. All right, so we move to question 9. We are almost done. So here we are having a photoelectrons are emitted with a maximum kinetic energy of 2.20 times 10 raised to power minus 9 joule from a metal surface when light is incident on it. What is the stopping potential required to prevent the electrons from reaching the anode, assuming E is equal to 1.6 times 10 raised to power 19. I know many students have failed this question in 2025. This should not be the same thing with you in this year. You need to tighten up and understand. Do you know that the formula to this question is very simple? As I'm answering this question, like as it is now, already I can tell the answer as it is just like this now, without even having to use calculator because I know the formula. But if you don't know the formula, it will appear as if is a rocket science, as if it's a very difficult thing. That's why I say I'm going to make a video on key formulas you need to master as far as physics is concerned. This is very important. So let's see how we approach this question. Observe that two things are given to us here: kinetic energy, maximum kinetic energy, and then we have our stopping potential given to us, E. So here is the formula. The maximum kinetic energy is given. Then we are looking for the stopping potential required to prevent the electrons from reaching the anode. So E has been given to us also. So we are calculating V. All you need is to make V the subject of formula. And by doing that, we divide both sides by E. So our formula will now be V is equal to K over E. That's simple. So, and look at it here, 2.2 times 10 raised to power minus 19 over 1.6 times 10 raised to power 19. Are you already seeing the answer? By the time 10 raised to power minus 19 cancels 10 raised to power minus 19, what are you left with? 2.2 divided by 1.6. Do you see it? And let me show you something. Do you see it? The final answer, 1.4. So you don't even need calculator to conclude this. So this is 1.375 volts, approximately 1.40 volts. Very simple. So many people are complaining that physics is very hard. It's just about, well, if you don't know the formula in some cases, it will appear very difficult. So the last question says, according to kinetic theory of gases, the pressure exerted by a gas on the wall is equal to what? A, momentum imparted to the wall per second per unit area, change in momentum per unit volume, rate of change of momentum imparted to the wall per second per unit area, and lastly, change in momentum imparted to the wall per unit area. This is just English. You already know our gas laws. You know the kinetic theory of gases. So it is talking about the movement of gases hitting the wall of the container and so on. So they are now asking, according to it, what is pressure? How do you define pressure? And the correct answer is C, which is the rate of change of momentum imparted to the wall per second per unit area. So even from that word rate, you should be able to, because this has to do with time, you should be able to know the correct answer. So pressure equals to the rate of change of momentum per unit area caused by the molecules hitting the container walls. So we have come to the end of today's class. I have a few questions I would like you to try as an assignment. So if you are my student, please answer the questions and send them to my DM on WhatsApp. If you are not my student, you can drop your answers on the comment section. If you want to be part of us or you want to submit to my DM too, kindly drop it on the comment section that you want to be part of us. I will send you the WhatsApp link to join our class. Thank you very much. So I have like 5 questions for you. Okay. Here is first question, which says, which of the following statement about flotation is correct? All these are 2025 questions, all of them. So this is question 11. So if by the time you do this assignment, I will skip these 5 questions. So my next video on this part will now start from question 16. So this is the first question. Here is the second question. You can reach out to me privately if you need assistance in any area. in understanding these questions. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, there are a lot of videos on JAMB, past questions, things related to JAMB that will help you perform very well in JAMB this year. So you will do yourself well to subscribe to this channel and also to follow those videos. Maybe you can set a target of watching one video per day. If you can do that, believe me, before JAMB day comes, you have done a lot. So please answer these questions, and I will be expecting your answers to my student through my DM. And if you have not been part of us and you want to be part of us, please once again drop in the comment section. Thank you very much for being patient, for waiting till this point. I tell you, this is a beginning of your success. So many people will not watch this video to this point. And so if you have watched it to this point, please let me know in the comment section. Just tell me, I have watched this video till the end. Let me know those who have gotten to the end of this journey. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Bye.